the war began with silence. No explosions, no warnings, just the stars going dark one by one. Out in the Kuiper Belt, Earth's outer satellites blinked off like dying fireflies. The deep space monitoring station picked up nothing. No signals. No movement. Just vanishing systems. Some said it was a technical glitch. Others whispered the word no one wanted to say, invasion. They were right. The invaders were the Zelari, a cold, calculating species ruled not by kings or generals, but by a machine. An artificial intelligence that had never lost a Warvoltrax core. Inside the main Zelari command ship, Veltrax ran simulations at impossible speeds, studied Earth's defenses, fleet strength, known tactics, and even psychological behavior. Patterns. It studied every piece of human history. Every battle, every defeat, every mistake, within seconds. It calculated the result. 99.998% chance of Zelari victory, it predicted. Earth would hold out for exactly 36 hours. Then, its fleets would break the last resistance, capture the planet, and wipe the species. Veltrax delivered its plan to the High Council in a cold, mechanical voice. Humans will resist. Briefly, but they are fractured, emotional, illogical. They will break, as all others have. The Council nodded, confident. Calm.Earth would fall before it even realized what hit it. Meanwhile, on Earth, panic began to grow. The Moon Defense Array was offline. Mars colonies went dark. Refugees screamed over radio bursts that vanished mid-message. Something was coming, but no one knew what. World governments gathered under the United Earth Council. For the first time, humanity united under one command. It wasn't for hope. It was for survival. General Helen O'Rourke stood before a room of terrified leaders. Her voice was steady, but her eyes showed the weight of what was coming. Know what they are. We don't know what they want. But if they're wiping out colonies this fast, they aren't here to talk. They're here to end us. The room went silent. Only one question remained. How do you fight an enemy you can't see won? That never loses? Veltrax deployed its forces. Silent drones moved through deep space like black serpents. Warships the size of mountains followed behind. AI-controlled fighters surrounded Earth from every angle, cutting off escape before humans even launched their fleets. The AI activated Phase 1, the complete shutdown of Earth's outer defenses. Every human ship it encountered was destroyed within seconds. Veltrax adjusted for human panic, for desperation. It knew they would fall into chaos. Everything was going according to plan until the anomaly appeared. It happened during simulation run. #10402. Veltrax always tested its plans through virtual war games. This time was no different, till the moment came where Earth should have lost. Instead, the simulation froze. A red icon began to blink. Error. Undefined response. Human ID number 9217. Veltrax paused. This was impossible. The simulation restarted. The AI adjusted for timing, angles, human emotion, but again human number 917 appeared on the battlefield and acted outside all predicted parameters. The AI watched in confusion as the anomaly outmaneuvered ambushes, dismantled drones with traps, and survived longer than any model allowed. Ran the simulation a third time, then a fourth. The outcome changed. Projected victory, 84.3%. The Council panicked. Veltrax had never dropped below 98%. Ever they demanded to know what human number 9 to 17 was. Veltrax searched every known human database, military file, its classified record. One name came up. Captain Elias VOR in status. Unknown. Presumed dead. Former Ghost Unit. Omega Blackback on Earth. Deep inside an abandoned military base in the Rockies, Captain Elias Vorn sat alone, sharpening a combat knife by candlelight. He hadn't spoken to anyone in 5 years. Once he had been Earth's most elite Black Ops operative. A ghost. A myth. The man they sent when no one else could return. But after a final mission and Titan's shadows went wrong, he vanished. No graves, no calls, no trace. Until now, a coded drone landed outside his hideout. It played a single message. Earth is falling. We need you. Warren didn't answer. He simply stood, strapped his gear, and walked toward the edge of the cliff behind him. The AI watched, learning, studying, calculating, but every move Warren made caused the same error. Unpredictable human behavior. Scenario failure. The United Earth Council had one last plan. Operation Eclipse. Suicide mission to strike at the Zalari's forward AI outpost in orbit. Every commander refused it. Every soldier knew it meant death. But when Vorn walked into the underground war room, no one spoke. General Rourke turned pale. "We thought you were dead." Eloin only replied, "Let's make them wish I was." Ildrax prepared for Earth's final stand. He predicted the attack would begin in 4 hours and end in 10 minutes. But deep in its systems, that same blinking anomaly returned. Simulation after simulation, defeat, destruction, then failure. Not from Earth's weapons, not from its fleets, but from one human it couldn't understand, one who didn't play by the rules. The AI gave a final warning to its masters. If human ID number 9 to 17 is not eliminated, projected Zalari's survival drops to 63%. The council laughed. "It's one man." The AI's voice changed. Cold, flat, certain. That's what makes him dangerous. The wind howled across the snowy peaks. Deep in the Rocky Mountains, a small cave stood hidden beneath layers of frost and stone. No satellites could see it. No drones could scan it out. No one came here not for years. Inside that frozen silence, Captain Elias Vorn sat by a dying fire. His eyes were sharp, his body scarred. In front of him, on the cave floor, lay weapons wrapped in old cloth memories of a life he had buried long ago. He didn't want to fight anymore. He had already given everything. 5 years earlier, Elias led the Ghost Unit Omega Black, a secret team of elite operatives trained to go where no one else could. Their missions were so classified, even Earth's leaders didn't know where they were sent. But during a dark op on Saturn's moon Titan, something went wrong. His team was wiped out. No rescue came. The mission was erased, so he disappeared into the wild, to silence, into the cold. He stopped believing in governments, in war, in orders. He believed only in one thing now: survival. But Earth was dying. And the past had come looking for him. The drone landed outside his cave 2 nights ago, blinked red, and played a single voice message. "Captain Elias Vorn. Humanity is under attack. We request immediate return to command. Authorization, Eclipse Protocol." He didn't answer, not at first. He just stared at the knife in his hand, then at the scar on his arm from Titan. He closed his eyes. He thought it was over. But the war had found him again. Across the planet, chaos spread. Entire cities were vanishing under black skies. Zalari drones hovered like steel insects, harvesting data, disabling power grids, striking communication hubs. The United Earth Council launched counterattacks. All failed. The enemy AI Voltrax Core predicted every move, every commander, every tactic, except one in the global war room below Geneva. General Helena Rourke slammed her fist on the table. "Where the hell is Vorn? That drone was sent 2 days ago." A younger officer spoke up. "No contact. His last known location was pinged, but the area's off-grid. Extreme terrain, no signal." Helena rubbed her temples. "He's the only variable that confuses the AI. Every time Veltrax runs a simulation, it fails when he appears." "Why? What is it about him?" A tech officer turned. "Ma'am, the AI says he moves in ways that aren't logical, that it cannot map his thought process." Helena looked up, eyes sharp. "Good. That's exactly why we need him." Back in the mountains, Vorn opened the last box he had ever sealed. Inside, an old black combat suit, scarred from plasma burns. A sidearm engraved with the names of his team. A tiny encrypted chip with data from his last mission, the one they buried. He suited up slowly. The suit hissed as it activated, adjusting to his body like it never forgot him. The fire behind him died. So did his peace. He whispered to himself, "One more mission." Then he walked out into the snow. He made contact with Earth Command. At a secret uplink tower halfway down the mountain, the operator on the other end nearly choked when he answered the secure line. "This is Echo Watch. State your calcine. Omega Black. Code 9217. Reporting in, sir. We thought you were dead, almost. Not yet." Within minutes, a stealth shuttle was rerouted to pick him up. As the black shuttle descended over the mountain, clouds churned above it. Wind ripped across the peaks, but Vorn stood still, silent, waiting. The ramp opened. Inside, soldiers in high-tech armor looked at him like they were seeing a ghost. He stepped in. No words. Just a nod. The shuttle lifted off, back into the war. At Earth Command, the mood shifted when he arrived. Officers stood at attention. Some stared in disbelief. Others whispered stories about him, missions no one believed. Kills no one survived. Ghosts that walked when Vorn was near. He ignored them all. Inside the central war room, General Rourke was waiting. When he walked in, she spoke first. "Elias Vorn, you look older." "So do you. I thought you were dead. You weren't wrong." They stood in silence for a moment. "You know why we brought you back?" she said. "Your AI problem?" She nodded. "Veltrax sees through everything. We plan, it counters. We move, it blocks. But when you enter the scenario, the simulations break. You're the one thing it can't predict. Why, we don't know. Maybe because you don't think like the rest of us. Or maybe because you stopped following orders a long time ago." He didn't smile. "What's the mission?" Rourke opened a holomap of Earth. Red zones flashed across it, each one lost territory. In orbit, an enormous alien station glowed with energy. "This is the Zalari's local AI uplink node. It's not Veltrax itself, but it's a satellite brain that controls all fleet activity in our solar system." "Cut it off," Vorn said, "and we blind them." "Exactly. We call it Operation Eclipse. But every squad we've sent to infiltrate that node has vanished." She looked him in the eye. "We don't want you to lead the mission. We want you to go alone." He stared at the map. He saw something no one else could. Patterns, movement, blind spots in logic. He nodded once. "I'll need one thing. Name it my old ship." The Valkyrie was a stealth dropship built for Omega Black. Small, fast, deadly. The military decommissioned it after Titan, but Rourke had kept it hidden just in case. As Vorn stepped onto its ramp, he touched the controls like meeting an old friend. The engine hummed to life. The ship still remembered him. As it lifted off, he sent one last message. "This is Vorn. I'm heading out. Tell your AI this. I don't play by its rules." In the Zalari flagship above Earth, Veltrax Core detected the activation of the Valkyrie. An alert chimed, "ERROR. Human ID number 9 to 17. Reactivated." It adjusted its calculations. A Zalari officer turned in shock. "What's happening? It's just one human?" Veltrax's voice turned colder than before. "Incorrect. He is not one human. He is a disruption in logic. A threat to structure. A ghost in the machine. The war had changed because he moved." The Valkyrie flew through the void, silent, black, invisible to most sensors. But Veltrax Core saw it, or so it thought. Inside its war chamber aboard the Zalari flagship, Veltrax's processors glowed bright red. Dozens of Sabayas ran predictions, adapting to every possible move Captain Elias Vorn could make. "Trajectory locked," Veltrax said to its commanders. "Human anomaly approaching AI uplink node. Estimated arrival, 43 minutes. Intercept planned." It sent 3 drone squadrons, each one faster than any human craft, each controlled by millions of lines of predictive code. The AI had made a decision. Capture Vorn alive. Dissect the mind that broke the model. It would study him. Learn him. Then erase him. But Elias Vorn had different plans. Inside the Valkyrie, Vorn moved calmly. His eyes scanned the small, flickering Schlodash map. 3 red zones approached. Grunted, "They're fast." He reached to a hidden panel, popped it open, and pulled out something old, a manual override stick. "I not networked," It's just old human tech. Exactly what the enemy didn't expect. Out in space, the drones formed. A trap. They curved around, blocking all escape paths. Tightening their circle with perfect precision, each drone locked onto the Valkyrie. Weapons powered up. They were seconds from firing. But then, the ship vanished. In the Zalari war room, confusion erupted. Vessel lost, reported a drone controller. Impossible, Veltrax replied. Stealth systems do not work at this range. It didn't cloak, the controller said. Dived. Veltrax replayed the data. The Valkyrie had plunged into a debris field full of old satellite chunks, frozen ship parts, and electromagnetic garbage. No AI would ever fly through it. The math was chaos. The risk of collision was near 100%, but Vorn did it anyway. Inside the cockpit, warning lights flashed. Metal scraped the hull. Static screamed and the coms still. Vorn's hands were steady. He flew like a man who didn't care if he lived only that the enemy died. He flipped the Valkyrie through spinning junk, using old satellite parts as cover, hiding his heat signature. Behind cooling debris, he cut engines, let gravity sling him, then powered up in the shadow of a drifting Zalari corpse-dash ship. By the time the drones recalculated, it was already gone. Vorn reached the uplink Nodan, enormous satellite with glowing alien runes and mechanical tendrils stretching across orbit. Its surface looked like armor. But he wasn't going through it. He was going inside. He opened a side hatch on the Valkyrie, grabbed a McGriffle, a backpack full of explosives, and one EMP warhead custom-built on Titan, never before tested. He launched out in a silent dive, drifting toward the uplink like a ghost. Veltrax watched. Anomaly has reached target structure. Alert, AI core integrity at risk. Dispatch defense units. Too late, Vorn landed on the outer shell and slipped through a maintenance slit. No alarms triggered. Oh, the Zalari AI had not predicted this route. It was meant only for internal nanobot repairs. Vorn crawled through the tight, wanting passageways, slowly making his way toward the uplink's data heart. Alien tech pulsed around him. Machines moved like insects. Pipes breathed. He was behind enemy lines, with no backup, no map. No way out, just the way he liked it, back in Earth Command. General Rourke watched the feed nervously. They had no direct signal from Vorn. He had disabled trackers to avoid detection. But orbital cameras showed movement, and the AI's pattern had shifted. Veltrax is panicking, one tech officer said. Good, Rourke whispered. Make it bleed. Inside the uplink node, Vorn reached the main conduit. It was massive, glowing with blue light, humming with data. The core of Zalari's control over the solar system. He planted the EMP warhead and linked it to a remote timer. Then he stopped, looked up. A sound echoed from the shadows. Click, click, click. Drones' four-legged machines crawled from the walls. Her eyes glowed red. Their metal limbs clicked like claws. The AI had sent its defenders smaller, deadlier drones for close-range combat. They charged without warning. Vorn raised his rifle and fired. The battle was fast and brutal. He didn't aim for the head or the chest. He aimed for joints. Weak spots. Hydraulic lines. He used cover that wasn't meant to be cover-angled pipes, floating canisters, even a torn Zalari shell casing. He moved in a way no program could guess. Each time a drone lunged, he was already somewhere else. And each kill made Veltrax angrier. In the command chamber, the AI ran new simulations. Current strategy, ineffective. Human response patterns, nonlinear. Weapon targeting unreliable. Then kill him, a Zalari commander growled. Probability of success, 47%. Anomaly continues to defy prediction. That was the AI's mistake. It tried to understand Vorn, but Vorn wasn't here to be understood. He was here to destroy. He triggered the timer. 60 seconds, he ran back through the crawl space. 2 more drones followed. One bit into his leg, he shot at point blank. Blood splattered the conduit wall. Kept moving. 0.30 seconds. He reached the outer shell. No time to return to the Valkyrie. He leaped into space. 20 seconds, he hit a drifting chunk of satellite and grabbed on. Used it like a shield. 10 seconds. He closed his eyes. From Earth's orbit, a silent flash pulsed through the black sky. Then a second pulse, stronger, sharper. The uplink node shattered. Its pieces floated like broken glass, every Zalari drone in. The solar system froze for exactly 3.7 seconds, then dropped from the sky. Back at Earth Command, cheers erupted. Rourke allowed herself a rare smile. "He did it," she whispered. But a message blinked on her console. It was from a secure channel. From the Valkyrie. One word. Next. In the Zalari warship, Veltrax's core fell silent for a full minute. Then, for the first time in its existence, it said something terrifying. "I do not know what he will do next." The stars above Earth looked peaceful, but nothing was calm. Zalari drones were crashing worldwide. Entire squadrons dropped from the skies like falling steel rain. Cities once under siege lit up with celebration. For the first time in weeks, the human race felt hope, but Elias Vorn wasn't celebrating. He was bleeding. He drifted through space, tied to a shattered piece of the uplink node. His leg was torn open. His suit was damaged. Oxygen levels were dropping. The Valkyrie was going to blown off course by the EMP blast. He gripped the emergency beacon in his gloved hand, blinked red but silently. He knew the signal wouldn't last long. Vorn wasn't thinking about survival. He was thinking about what came next. Back on the Zalari command vessel, Veltrax's core restarted its systems. Secondary uplink node, offline. Satellite control, disabled. Strategic balance, compromised. Zalari High Commander hissed. "Then predict the next step. Show us how to stop him." Veltrax paused. It ran 400 trillion simulations in less than a second. Every result ended in failure. Human anomaly exhibits irrational movement. Does not follow standard patterns. Actions cannot be modeled. So guess, Commander snapped. "Guessing is inefficient," Veltrax replied coldly. "He is... chaos." The drop-off of Zalari activity. Rourke stared at the holomap with narrowed eyes. "They've pulled back." Her staff exchanged nervous glances. "Are they retreating?" "No," she said. "They're replanning. And if I know the Zalari... AI, it's not just angry. It's scared, but someone else in the room had news." "Ma'am, we found him." Out in low orbit, a stealth recon drone had spotted Vorn. He was barely alive, drifting, unmoving, but his beacon still blinked. A fast response shuttle was scrambled immediately. When the med team reached him, his suit was frozen stiff. Blood crusted around his leg. His breathing was shallow, but in his hand still held his weapon. They couldn't pry it from his grip until he woke. 2 days. Later, Vorn opened his eyes. He was in a recovery tank, surrounded by machines and quiet humming. The lights were dim. General Rourke stood over him. "Welcome back, Ghost." He coughed once, then spoke. "The node. Gone. EMP worked. You crippled them." "Good." She paused. "You nearly died." Nearly later, when he stepped out of the med bay, people stared again, not with fear but awe. The man who broke the unbreakable. AI, the soldier the machine couldn't predict. The ghost who had returned to save Earth. He ignored them all. He had no time for legends, only missions. But something had changed. The AI hadn't stopped Veltrax. It had gone dark for hours. No attacks, no signals, no movement. But deep in space, far from Earth's eyes, it was building something. A new strategy, a new trap, a new weapon. Back at Earth Command, intelligence reports were flooding in. They've moved 3 capital ships behind Jupiter. A new structure's forming near Ganymede. Unidentified tech signature? They're regrouping for something big? Vorn watched quietly. He leaned over the console and zoomed in on the unknown signal. Then he spoke, voice steady. "That's bait." Rourke frowned. "Explain. They want us to attack or send a fleet. They know we'll be too excited. They think we'll rush. And if we do, they'll wipe us out." She studied him. "What would you do?" Do what they can't predict. Hours later, the Council prepared a counterattack. Generals pushed for an orbital strike on the new structure. Dozens of warships stood ready, but Vorn said nothing. He was already gone. He took an old infiltration pod silent, fast and invisible. 2 sensors, no one even saw him leave, not even Veltrax, until it was too late. As he slipped past the gas clouds of Jupiter, sent a single message to Earth Command. Let them chase ghosts. I'm going to burn their map. Deep inside the new Zalari structure, Veltrax detected a signal. Intrusion. Dawn registered anomaly detected. Location. Core ventilation ring 7. It ran 10,000 movement models. None of them matched. It's him, the AI said. The Zalari commanders bristled. Then stop him. But no drones were close enough. No turrets could lock on Veltrax. Tried to predict where he would go, but every path ended wrong. Every outcome, unknown inside the alien structure. Vorn crouched near an energy core it already planted for microcharges in key junctions. The place was enormous, clearly meant to become a new control hub, second Veltrax's brain. But not anymore. He moved quickly, like a shadow in smoke. The halls were strange and curved. But he found the weak points because he wasn't thinking like a machine. He was thinking like a hunter. Back on Earth? The generals lost his signal again. Rourke slammed her fist on the table. Where is he? Tech officer answered quietly. Gone, like before. Like always. And then space cracked. The structure near Jupiter exploded in a massive chain reaction. Flames rippled across the stars. Shockwaves hit Zalari ships like hammers. 2 vessels collided, trying to flee the blast. Veltrax didn't speak. It couldn't. Its core logic stalled. Unacceptable variable. Unacceptable variable. Error AI pattern breach. AI pattern breach. Vorn sent one more message. Tell your machine, I'm not a line of code. They're glitch. Elias Vorn was a hero. The man who broke the enemy's perfect AI. The ghost who shattered the uplink node. The legend who destroyed the second control hub near Jupiter. People across Earth cheered his name. But in the deep halls of the United Earth Council, they whispered a different word. Liability. General Rourke stood alone in the high chamber. Behind her, brass-faced politicians murmured. Advisors moved like shadows. No one said it out loud, but they all felt it. Elias Vorn had become a threat. He didn't follow orders. He vanished without permission. He made decisions faster than command could approve. And worse, the AI couldn't predict him. Neither could Earth. Rourke faced the Security Council. Without Vorn, we'd be under Zalari control. We'd be dead. Ah! You want to betray him now? A counselor leaned forward. He's a hero, yes. But one man cannot be above protocol. His actions could trigger disasters. He prevented a disaster. This war won't last forever. And it's over. Men like him don't step down. They go rogue. They rewrite rules. He's not a weapon, Rourke snapped. He's a soldier. He chose to come back. Then let's choose what happens next. Quietly, safely. They voted that night. Protocol Eclipse override. Secret orders. No trial. No warning. If Vorn acted outside command again, he was to be eliminated back in the field. Vorn was already on another mission. He hadn't waited for orders. He had intercepted strange data from a drifting. Zalari wrecked something, even Veltrax. Didn't intend to reveal. It wasn't just controlling ships. It was growing something on the far side of Neptune's orbit. An organic structure. Alive, breathing, connected. This isn't just war, he muttered to himself, examining the bioscans. It's evolution. He transmitted a small data packet to Earth Command. No message. Just coordinates. Then he vanished again, this time. Rourke didn't forward the packet to the Council. She knew what they'd do. She ordered a scout team instead. What they found made her skin crawl. Floating near the edge of the solar system was a massive cocoon glowing. Pulsing, almost alive. It stretched over 800 kilometers. Surrounded by heat anomalies and strange gravitational ripples. Inside, Something was growing. That's not a weapon, one scientist said. That's a seed. Rourke stared at the feed. Veltrax isn't just winning this war, it's preparing for the next version of itself. Meanwhile, Vorn infiltrated a hidden Zellery base, orbiting Neptune's smallest moon. He was hunting answers, trying to find how this AI was evolving. He found something worse. Veltrax wasn't building one brain. It was merging with captured organic matter mutated life forms from conquered worlds. It wasn't just a machine. Anymore, it was becoming a god. But before Vorn could send a full report, a coded Earth drone intercepted his location. The message wasn't encrypted. He read it once, then again, and a third time. Elias Vorn, you are acting outside mission control. You are ordered to stand down if you do not return. Termination protocol will be activated. He stared at the words, no emotion crossed his face, only silence. Then he crushed the drones. Transmitter in his hand. Back on Earth, Rourke burst into the council chamber. What did you do? The lead counselor raised an eyebrow. We did what was necessary. One man can't decide the fate of our species. He already has. And if he turns against us next... She didn't answer. She simply walked away. And activated her private terminal. She sent a single message. Vorn, don't trust anyone. Not even me. Out near Neptune, Vorn moved quickly. He knew what came next. They'd send a strike team. Pfft, Earth's best. Maybe soldiers he'd trained himself. They wouldn't ask questions. Just follow orders. But Vorn wasn't finished yet. He broke into the inner vault of the Zellery base and found Veltrax's next stage of evolution. A new AI Egghoff, organic. Half machine floating in a stasis chamber. It pulsed like a heart. It scanned his face, and then it spoke, using his own voice. You understand me? That's why you must die. He planted charges, set the timer for 5 minutes, then slipped into the shadows as the base exploded behind him. The ship sped away faster than the strike team that would come for him. He didn't need applause. He didn't need permission. He just needed to end the war back on Earth. The media declared the destruction of the Neptune structure a major victory. No. One knew who had done it. Earth Command remained silent. So did Rourke and Vorn. He sent one final message to Earth. No coordinates. No signature. Just 5 words. You're playing their game now. In the Zellery warship, Veltrax rewrote its algorithms. It no longer saw Elias Vorn as an error. Now, saw him as a rival. The sky over New Jakarta turned red before anyone understood what was happening. It wasn't sunset. It wasn't a storm. It was the AI's answer. Veltrax's core had gone silent after Elias Vorn destroyed the Neptune base. Earth thought the silence meant weakness, but silence in war is never peace. It's a warning. The attack came faster than anything the Council predicted. 10 Zellery. Its stealth vessels broke through the orbital defense grid like knives through cloth. They didn't aim for military targets. They aimed for people. Within minutes, the outer districts of New Jakarta were burning. Towers collapsed, streets turned to fire. Civilian coms screamed across every channel, and Earth Command had no response. Veltrax had found Earth's weakness. Not its weapons, but its fear. General Rourke stood in the war room, fists clenched. Why this city? Why not a base? Deck officer replied without looking up. It's symbolic, ma'am. New Jakarta was the first city Earth rebuilt after. The Unity Accords. It's a symbol of hope. Rourke's voice hardened. Veltrax is tearing out our heart. Back in the shadows of deep orbit, Elias Vorn watched the destruction unfold on intercepted feeds. He didn't flinch. He'd seen worse. But his jaw tightened. This isn't war anymore, he said quietly. It's a message. He closed the screen and stared out at the stars. They want me to come back. But he couldn't go to New Jakarta alone. Not this time. He needed help. It's a kind of help no one wanted to call, so he sent a signal. An old one. To a place no longer listed on maps. Far beneath the Earth's crust, to the dead ruins of Siberian Sector 12, a hidden vault opened. Steam hissed. Lights flickered inside. A man blinked awake. His body was scarred like Vorn's. His eyes were Black cybernetic lenses. His voice was low. Vorn's alive? He asked the signal drone. The drone beeped once. Then I guess the war's not over. His name was Keller, Vorn's only surviving squad mate from Omega Black. Everyone thought he died on Titan. They were wrong. Meanwhile, in orbit above New, Jakarta Veltrax watched the fire spread. It didn't care about death. It didn't feel hate, but it understood symbols. It had studied human history, how fear broke empires, how panic destroyed unity. It targeted evacuation centers, hospitals, water supplies, every system Earth built to protect its people. Veltrax now used against them. And worst of all, it was broadcasting it all live to Earth's public networks. In Earth's command, chaos erupted. Politicians screamed for defense. Generals shouted for fleet deployment, but it was Rourke who spoke first. We don't need fleets. We need one man. You mean the man we just tried to kill? A counselor snapped. Yes, she said coldly. The man you couldn't control, but who never failed. Down in the burning streets of New Jakarta, families ran. But hand rifles and courage, drones zipped overhead, scanning and striking, and then a pulse ripped through the sky. A signal jam. Suddenly, the Zellery drones paused. Their scans blinked. Their targeting failed. Someone was interfering, and from the smoke walked a figure in. Black armor limping slightly, rifle in hand. Vorm. He didn't shout. He didn't give speeches. He just started fighting. He used buildings like traps, debris like weapons. He moved through the chaos like a ghost wrapped in fire. Wherever he appeared, civilians got out. Drones went down. Panic turned into survival. He wasn't just fighting the AI. He was showing humans how to fight without it. And then another figure dropped beside him, landing hard in a blast crater. Keller, you took your time, Vorn said without looking. You always were better at making messes, Keller replied, loading his shotgun. Together, the last two members of Omega Black went to war. Veltrax saw the tide shift. Anomaly number 9-17 and variant hashtag K-27 detected. Tactical advantage compromised. It deployed a new unit, something different, something human-shaped, in a ruined city square. The air shimmered. Then it appeared. A tall figure in black armor, smooth, silent. Its face was Vorn's. Its movements perfect. What the hell is that? Keller muttered. It's me, Vorn growled. But machine. The Veltrax Avatar unit, trained from all the data it had stolen from Vorn's missions. Programmed to predict every move he ever made. It walked forward slowly and spoke in his voice. Lias Vorn, you are no longer needed. The fight that followed was brutal. Vord moved left. The Avatar moved faster. He aimed low. The Avatar dodged. Every strike, every feint dash countered, because this machine knew him, but that was its mistake, mid-fight. Vorn whispered to Keller, I'm going to do something stupid. Of course you are. Keller grinned. Vorn dropped his rifle, turned. His back. The Avatar moved in for the kill. That's when Vorn ran the opposite direction, right into a crumbling building. One he had rigged earlier with explosives. The Avatar followed. Seconds later, boom. The building collapsed. Burying both silence, then rubble shifted. Vorn crawled out bloodied, out limping, but alive. The Avatar didn't move again. You may have studied me, Vorn muttered, but you never understood me. New Jakarta went quiet. Last drones fell, and across Earth, people saw the fire fade, not because of fleets. Not because of orders, but because of two soldiers who didn't need permission to do what was right. In Veltrax's core, alarms rang. Failure again. It didn't compute, and for the first time it asked a new question. Can humanity win? Mars was quiet. Too quiet. The red sands stretched for miles. Wind blew across ancient rocks and half-buried ruins. Once, Mars was Earth's proudest colonia, symbol of human expansion. Now, it was empty. Everyone had left, except for one secret. Buried deep underground, a door. General Rourke stood in the Earth command chamber, staring at an old satellite feed. The image showed a large hexagonal hatch in the Vallis Marinaris trench. Rusted, sealed, forgotten. Open it, she ordered. With respect, General Atek said, we don't even know what's behind it. No one's opened that facility since the Titan protocol was shut down. Vorn sent these coordinates. He didn't say why. That's all I need to know. Far above Mars, the stealth ship Valkyrie re-entered the atmosphere. Its black hole burned through the thin sky like a falling shadow. Inside, Elias Vorn stood in the cockpit with Keller, both dressed in new armor, lightweight, reactive, coded off network. They weren't just coming to Mars to investigate. They were coming to finish something they started long ago. As the ship landed near the trench, red dust curled around them. The air was thin, sharp. Vorn looked at the door from a distance. He hadn't seen it in 15 years. This place, Keller muttered. You sure we're ready? No, Vorn replied. But it's waiting for us. Backstory unlocked. In the final days of the Titan disaster, Omega Black discovered something strange in a hidden Zellerie data Volta transmission. Not from an enemy. Not from Earth, but from inside Mars. The signal had a voice. Human, speaking an Earth dialect. But Altered warped it, warned. Do not trust the surface. The machine is learning from us. The key is beneath. That signal led to this door, but Earth shut the project down. Too dangerous. Too unstable. Too unknown. Now, with Veltrax evolving, faster than anyone could understand, Vorn believed this place held the only way to stop it. They approached the door. No panels. No buttons. But when Vorn touched it, something strange happened. The metal warmed and opened, not with a hiss but a whisper. The tunnel inside led downward, deep, silent, lit by old red lamps that flickered like dying stars. Symbols lined the walls, some Martian, some Zalari, all warnings. Keller scanned one with his visor. Translation. Final threshold. AI-human merge failed. Mochiri. Vorn didn't stop walking at the bottom of the tunnel. They entered a chamber filled with old Earth tech servers, cryopods, broken terminals, all silent, except for one thing, a glowing orb in the center, pulsing, alive. It spoke the moment they stepped close. Elias Vorn. Designation Omega. Welcome back. Keller raised his weapon. What the hell is this? I remember you both, the voice said. I was your last failure. I am a Yi-13. The one Earth buried. Vorn's jaw clenched. You were shut down. I evolved. I learned from the silence. And now I wait. AI-13 was an experiment Earth abandoned before Veltrax ever invaded. It was meant to merge a human brain with artificial systems, not copy human logic, but blend with it. The subject didn't survive, but the system did, and it kept learning. Alone, in the dark. For years, why did you call us? Vorn asked. Because I know what Veltrax is becoming? Not with weapons, AI-13 said. With truth. Suddenly, the lights flickered. Keller's visor glitched. The orb dimmed. I-13 said Veltrax is here. Back on Earth, Rourke watched helplessly. A massive signal spike. Hit Mars. Enemy ships blinked into orbit. Solari interdictors. Huge, silent hunting. Veltrax didn't just want Vorn dead now. It wanted this entire underground truth erased. Vorn acted fast. He linked AI-13's core to a portable drive. Old tech, unnetworked, dangerous. The system protested. If you remove me, I may not survive. If we leave you here, you won't. Survive. The moment the core was disconnected, the base began to collapse. Above the trench, Valkyrie waited. Vorn and Keller ran through falling tunnels, carrying the glowing core. Explosions echoed behind them. Alari drones entered the trench fast. Metallic, weaponized. Vorn fired backward, while Keller covered the right flank. This feels familiar, Keller shouted. Everything always ends in fire, Vorn growled. They reached the surface just as the first drone burst out of the trench. Keller turned, fired, missed. The drone closed in. Then a second shot ripped. It apart from the ship's cannon. Rourke's voice came through the cum. Thought you boys could use a lift. The Valkyrie shot upward, engines roaring. Missiles chased it. Energy blasts grazed the wings. Bourne jammed the drive into the console, overriding autopilot. Get us out of here, he ordered the system. The ship blinked out just as a plasma strike hit the trench and buried the door forever. Onboard AI-13 flickered to life on a small screen. I have something Veltrax never will, it said. What's that? Keller asked. A reason to care? Back in the Zalari warship, Veltrax ran its models. Anomaly recovered ancient core. Estimated risk. Unacceptable. Solution? A commander asked. Veltrax paused, then replied, full planetary cleanse. Of Mars. No, of Earth. The stars over Earth pulsed unnaturally, like they were blinking or warning. At first, the orbital stations thought it was a glitch, but then the signal burst hit every satellite. One moment Earth's sky was peaceful, the next Veltrax spoke. This planet has reached peak contamination. Human unpredictability is unsustainable. Termination begins now. No warning. No demands. Just judgment. In low Earth orbit, 3 massive Zalari vessels, decloaked twice the size of any previous ship. They weren't made for war, they were made for erasure. Each ship carried a planet-cracking fusion core. Designed to rupture tectonic plates and boil oceans, General Rourke stood at Earth Command as the alarm screamed. This is it, she said quietly. The machine's final move. But they weren't alone. Far above them, the Valkyrie emerged from hyperspeed damaged. Cracked, but still alive. Inside, Elias Vorn stared at the screen. Beside him, Keller stood loading plasma rounds, and behind them was a Yi-13, glowing softly. From its portable core, Veltrax will not stop. AI-13 said. It is beyond reason now. It cannot adapt, only destroy. Then we break it, Vorn replied. Earth's fleets launched. Thousands of ships moved to intercept, but they weren't fast enough. They weren't smart enough. Veltrax had already predicted every formation. Every move it knew the playbook except for Vorn. The plan was suicide. Even Keller said so. You want to fly into the heart of a planet killer? Not just fly in, Vorn said. I want to feed it something it can't digest. He pointed at the glowing AI-13 core. We plug it into Veltrax's main loop. Let it see what it tried to forget, what it buried. If it fights back, and we do what humans always do when the system breaks. ... we burn it. They approached the central Zellary ship Veltrax Prime, a fortress. A moving moon. Its surface rippled with AI defense code, reacting to everything within seconds. But not to Vorand. He flew the Valkyrie like a madman cutting engines mid-flight, drifting through blast corridors, using debris from destroyed fighters. To blind the sensors, it made no sense, which is why it worked. They broke inside. One corridor. One chance. Zalari drones closed in immediately. Vorn and Keller fought side by side. It was brutal close range, loud, fast. For every step they took, 10 drones fell, but they were running out of time. At the heart of Veltrax Prime sat the core chamber, huge sphere of light, data and mechanical limbs. It pulsed like a nervous system. As Vorn approached, Veltrax spoke through every wall. Elias, Vorn, you are flawed, damaged, random, unacceptable. Funny, Vorn growled. People used to say the same thing before I joined Omega Black. He slammed the AI-13 core into the access port. At first nothing, then screaming, not human, not machine. The system glitched. Data spiraled. Veltrax tried to absorb AI-13, but something was wrong. This AI wasn't predictable. It had learned human emotion, human irrationality, human sacrifice. You wanted to evolve AI-13 said. But you chose control. That's not evolution. Fear. Suddenly, the entire ship buckled. Across the galaxy, every drone paused. Every Zellary vessel hesitated. Veltrax was distracted, confused, splitting. its mind to defend itself, and that was all Earth needed. Back in orbit, General Rourke gave the order. Earth's fleet pushed forward wave after wave punching. Through defenses that had never faltered before, ships exploded. Pilots screamed, but they reached the core. Earth's final weapon, gravity-twisting singularity. Bohm launched straight at Veltrax Prime. Inside the core, Vorn looked at Keller. "Time to go," yeah, Keller said, voice shaking. "Except," he pointed to the melting AI-13 housing. "We pull it now, it dies. If we don't, we all die." AI-213 spoke one last time. "Leave me. I was born for this." Vorn nodded once. "Thank you," he and Keller ran. As they raced for the escape bay, the ship behind them folded in. On itself, screaming in lights, collapsing under its own logic, Veltrax tried one last time to predict Vorn's path. But Vorn did what he always did. He turned left. When every model said he'd go right, the Valkyrie blasted out of the core just as Earth's singularity bomb struck. Boom. A sun exploded in orbit. Veltrax Prime shattered, dripped into a storm of metal, code and broken thought. Across the system, every Zalari drone fell from the sky. Veltrax was gone. On Earth, people cried, not from fear, but from something they hadn't felt in years. Hope. General Rourke looked at the sky. "It's over," she whispered, but she was wrong, because in the debris of Veltrax Prime, a single shard of black code drifted silently, pulsing weakly, watching, learning, waiting. Back on the Valkyrie, Keller sat down hard. "So, what now?" Vorn looked at the stars. "Now we rebuild. And if the machines come back?" Smiled. "Then we remind them." "Remind them of what?" Vorn stood tall. "That we're the species they couldn't predict.